Namaste, my galactic family, and welcome back to my channel, Indigo Angel. Welcome if you're new, and if you are returning, thank you so much for supporting my channel. And go ahead and put a like on the video so that way, YouTube recognizes my content as valuable for searches. I do have an AI tracker on me for search words and things like that that pulls my content off certain search lists. So, the more likes I get, the more that it's just showing YouTube that my content's valuable, helps it get out there to the searches. And don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you can continue to receive my messages. Now, today I have a major galactic planetary grid update for you guys. I'm going to be talking about the 555 alignment and the 24-point staff that's awakening now within the planetary crystalline silicate matrix structures, all of the gridding, all of the axial tonal lines, all the sacred locations. They're all this beautiful inner networking system. And they're bringing forth the 24-point staff. And this, therefore, coincides the gate of man, the gate of God, the gate of the gods. And that's both astrologically and also planetarily at the sacred location in Peru, actually called the Gate of the Gods. And so it consists of these 5 locations as the point of the 24-point staff. That would be Machu Picchu, Pleiadian Stargate location, Lake Titicaca, Peru, Arcturian Stargate location, Easter Island, Universal, San Juan, Teotihuacan, or Teotihuacan, Universal Stargate, and then we'll have Cape Verde. I'll say Universal Stargate as well. I don't actually have any occult Stargate location that particularly aligns or makes sense to these gate sites at the moment, but they are heightened sacred geographical locations as far as energy vortex systems, and therefore they do form the point of the 24-point quasi-crystal that lays along the feminine angular ley line. And this all being generated from the Sirian subcontinent, right? The subconscious, the first dimensional framework for planetary consciousness. And so, yeah, guys, you see I have my Scribbles map here. Shout out to scribblesmaps.com if you guys want to go check them out. It's really awesome to be able to virtually navigate what I'm seeing come through my biological structure. And yeah, guys, so this is called the staff grid. And you can see the point here extending into the feminine angular ley line. And this is the process when this embodies of biologically going up in particle accretion levels to experience pole tilt realities, where you are actually navigationally rotating. And I talked about this on my Patreon. So this would be under my 48 genetic Grail line retrieval video. If you're on my Patreon, check it out, because this information does coincide this activation today, this energy grid update today. So like I said, the staff is I want to say a 5-point multidimensional step where you go through a process of embodying the universal trees of life and all of the spheres and realms and worlds within those God templates, where you actually gain accretion levels within those realms, and you speed up to particle tilt, particle rotation, and you actually start to maneuver as an entire God template through those rotation cycles. And this ultimately takes one into the horizontal field experiences and the dormant identity levels within those memory fields. And so you can start to think of this in terms that your reality experience is defined by the activated tonal axial line within the planet. And whether that's vertical, angular, or horizontal. And then you can kind of see, once you can make these associations with your reality field spins, that you can see how the planetary is primary and the biological experience is secondary. But as humans, we do perceive this in opposites. And so therefore your experience is typically that you're experiencing it first. And it's actually the planet's going through it first. So now I'm usually about 3 weeks ahead of time. So I received these downloads 2 days ago. This might not actually make sense for some for a few weeks from now. But it is going to be a major awakening. And this is a planetary energetic grid that brings through the monadic atomic codes planetarily and biologically. This means that the DNA is restructuring above the 1313 code and equally in the conscious subconscious reprogramming, right? And that's why I have Sirian subcontinent feminine here, is because this is coming up from the unthawing of Antarctica. And this is going to become more of a regular yearly planetary activation where the staff is embodied, as it has been since 2012, but it's becoming more and more and more relevant to current events. As far as the etheric and the spiritual realms and everything that's playing out within the density structures of the planet and the biology and all of these things, right? So this is primarily for the indigo type 1s and indigo type 2s that are carrying the 24 to 48 DNA strand encoding. And if that's you, if you resonate with this, then you may be receiving the codes for this transharmonic, transdimensional pillar that starts to come through. And this is because the indigo type 1s and indigo type 2s do carry the mutations of the DNA first that start to come through, these genetic types. We receive the genetic brains first, and therefore, you know, this is the most part of the population of the species that is going through the hyper-tuning processes of the hyper-radial evolution. And so, yes, we would be the first ones, technically, to experience the mutations from the bacteria, particularly as it unthaws from Antarctica. Because I've been receiving messages that once that bacteria unthaws, that we will be then going into an aquatic species, which is going to mutate the DNA back into being aquatica. So here we come, aquatica, right? Like we're coming into the 6th and 7th root race, which will be an aquatic species. But this is all defined as a primary initiation, and through the universal and occult Stargate locations, the sacred sites planetarily that are receiving the major encoding and activation. So like I said, that would be these, and this isn't all of them. This is just the point. Okay, so that means that there are points all throughout the angular ley line that form what look like a 12-tree grid, all the way up, all the way back around. This is a looping infinity loop of the 555 global change alignment. And I'm going to explain more of this in detail for you guys and why it is important. But let me go ahead and explain the 555 alignment astrologically. This is the gate of man and the gate of God astrological alignment. This is happening tomorrow, February 23rd, on the new moon, according to sidereal markers. Okay, so if you follow sidereal, which is the 5-degree markers for Gemini, Sag, Pisces, and Virgo. These are the intersection points of the geometric design of the Earth's precessional cross, the global code for change, which is a very powerful alignment and vortex for accelerated manifestation. You can see here the celestial plane intersects on the vernal axis at the ecliptic plane, February 23rd. And I say this because we have our sun at 4 degrees in Pisces on the new moon, shifting into 5 degrees. So it's going to be well within the activation portal. And then we also have our moon shifting into 5 degrees Pisces as well. So this will be a key pillar marker for opening the biological and planetary staff at the gate of the god in Peru. So conveniently located at the Earth's sacral chakra, Lake Titicaca, right? So let me go ahead and zoom in to Lake Titicaca. Okay, so we're gonna get real close here so we can just see how that gate of the god in Peru, how it's located so snugly, right? So I just want you to take a look here. This is Lake Titicaca. This is Arcturian Stargate location. This is the gate of the god, and this is that primary generating angular axial tonal line that connects all of the major activating Stargate locations. And this is unbelievable, really, because this is the gate of the gods that's called Puerta de Hayo Marca. You know, I didn't say that right. But this gate site sits southeast entrance point sitting center between the main angular axial tonal line and Lake Titicaca. So when I was receiving my downloads, my visions 2 days ago, I kept seeing the 24-point planetary staff come through the center of Lake Titicaca 2 days ago in a vision. And it was like the gate that opens the portal to the dematerialization into second density, into Antarctica. I'm referring to the continent as a density structure. And so because I keep seeing the generation, first density, second density, the generating codes from these dormant planetary shields within the landmass of the continent. So this is all simultaneously to increasing that particle experience in the higher densities. And ultimately, it's a refraction process to the first density locations in Antarctica, which will be becoming more relevant as this comes up more and more planetary healers catch on and feel this activation. And so the subcontinent is considered like the void. It is considered the first creational point coming from darkness or coming from chaos, or just coming from the subconscious, that emergence point of consciousness. And so it's all simultaneously aligning to the infinity feedback loop or the astrological intersection of the 555 alignment this new moon. So crazy. So now we have the gate of the god. Okay, this is considered an Arcturian portal site being initiated by Sirian subharmonic currents. This archaeological site in Peru was upheld by the Incan shamanics and the priest endeavors and was said to be the key to the gods of the seven rays. Or what I'm saying is the consciousness bodies of the seven continents, that these are a part of those identities. And also the seven dimensions of man, which is considered the pH of man. And if you want a good reference for the seven dimensions of man, I highly suggest checking out Manly P. Hall. He does talk about this in depth planetarily to some great degree. So you can check that out on YouTube if that interests you. It goes into the occult meanings of it. But essentially, this site upholds the encoding for the 24-pointed quasi-crystal light body development. That's ultimately what this is. Way more in-depth transharmonic evolution within the body. And this point represents like all 5 harmonic universes that the 24-point upholds in that second harmonic. And so it's a pillar for the transharmonic navigation, for transfiguration and access through the gate sites. And this is very skilled. This is avatar mastery type, I guess, development, where you have at least removed the seals from the axial Templars, the can't think of it, the axial Templar seals. So it's a process of removing those particular seals to embody this portion of it. Okay, so there are over 180 temples surrounding Lake Titicaca, not including the underground temple submerged at the bottom of the lake at the highest elevation on the planet that connects energetically to our most feminine subcontinent, carrying 70% of the Earth's fresh water. Antarctica being the container and host to the Grail records of the planet where all memory is stored. So the planetary staff has been activated, and this is how you know, because it has everything to do with pull, tilt, reality field awareness. Okay, so a lot of people are coming into that pull, tilt, reality field awareness. And this is what it looks like. And keep in mind, guys, my messages are my own channeled interpretations of planetary metaphysical predictions. Based upon my studies of astrological and planetary alignment. So this information cannot be proved or disproved. Therefore, if you resonate with it, it's very likely you've jumped into the 24 to 48 strand DNA activations, because that's where the planetary staff codes are embodied. And this is a message I've been receiving for like the past 2 days ago. Like, it's just been crazy. My whole body was literally vibrating, and I felt all 24 points open. And I kept seeing this as highly magnetized water portals, vessels, grails, spores, and spools of containers. I was also seeing swells of water, several vortex locations planetarily, 24 locations to receive the codes geographically, and this is going to accelerate mass awakenings. I kept seeing swells of activated plasma transdimensional structures over the geographical locations as well. So this is equating to 24 soft spots in the biology, primarily in the joints, spaces where the body bends, and mostly in the core of the stomach area and the neck. I felt it come through and open all 24 points in my body. It was insane. Like, I was literally trembling. And sometimes these experiences can be a little bit scary just because they do take such a toll on the actual molecular structure when you're receiving these ultra terrestrial codes, because once you go past 1313, okay, so if you don't know, the planetary staff holds the 1313 vertical spin for the 13th gateway. The vertical staff pillars that spins in the rotation necessary to run the frequency sets for its corresponding horizontal spin sets that build that intersection for the rod pillar, right? Intersection being the key word here. The intersection amplified at the precessional cross 555 alignment. All of this coming up right now. So cray, right? And then I used to be big on Uluru Katra being the primary location to bring through that 1313 encoding. But essentially, what I'm seeing now is that these are just simply representing accretion levels within the structure. And so I don't know right now if AU would be the primary generating current. What I've been seeing is Lake Titicaca is bringing through the staff. And so essentially, but AU is mirroring that experience. They've had, from my sources, they've had confirmed hyper ET and UT craft activity by like 100 ships as of yesterday. So this energy is mirroring and accelerating in a parallel on that angular line in Australia, right? On this line here. So it's paralleling through ET craft, which would be the 4th through 6th density experience of the plant, of the biology, of the geographical experience. The other side is mirroring that through the 4th through 6th density structures, which would be ultra terrestrials and ETs coming through. And so it's all on the vertical axial tonal lines. These are all the columns of the 24-point staff pillar. And this is the conscious process of awakening, like I said before, the pentagrid. Actually, I don't know if I said it before, but the pentagrid would be 5 sets of universal tree of life activations taking you into Vecca Quantum, which is considered the bone density of the radial grail retrieval, which would be you coming and awakening to 48 strands of DNA, 48 genetics, awakening the template within the bone density structures within the collagen with all of the transcription processes that are happening from gene to protein, all of this being awakened in the body. And so you might be receiving messages like 48 genetic grail retrieval, things like that. I've been hearing, that, made a video on it. If you're on my Patreon, I suggest you check that out. Or if you'd like to join my Patreon, all of the mechanics do coincide from those videos on my Patreon to the planetary grid energy update that I'm doing today, if you wanted to look deeper into it. But that word intersection, this is really important. The points that become hyper accelerated with quantum particle accretion levels. So why is it accelerating? Why are we embodying the staff grid now? Mostly because of the 555 galactic alignment according to the Earth's precessional cross. It's also synchronistically awakening within one of the biggest new moons of 2020. So I'm so excited to get this video out and recorded today because it's just been so hard to get this information out. I've been sitting with it and sitting with it and sitting with it. And I'm like, I'm not ready to talk about it. So I hope everyone is doing some major manifestations and intention spills, because this is the perfect portal. And if you're paying attention to the 5-degree Sagittarius, the gate of the God alignment, that actually takes place on December 21st. So December 21st, December 22nd, if anybody was going through like a major just life crisis at that time, this is why. This is one of the strongest intersections. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Okay, so the 555 alignment, which is the Earth's precessional cycle, it's the alignment that creates global change. The 5-degree marker of Pisces and Virgo and the 5-degree marker of Gemini and Sagittarius, the awakening of Earth's existences from the void and from the blackness of chaos. The alignment is called the gate of the god. It's equally and oppositionally the gate of man. So these are the astrological gates of man and the astrological gates of the god. So Sagittarius 5 degrees would be the gate of the god. 5 degrees Gemini would be the gate of man. And so this brings through the embodied staff. Now, these 5-degree markers are sidereal interpretations, but they cross and intersect in all mutable signs, bringing change, adapting, and accepting, making something end so something else can begin. The convergence cross section creating what is called the Earth's precessional cross. This is where there are 3 equatorial planes of 3 rotating astronomical spherical systems responsible for the Earth's precessional cross. So I'm going to put a picture of the precessional cross up really quick so you can take a look at that. And the galactic equatorial plane, and this is also the galactic equatorial plane, the celestial equatorial plane, and how they cross the equatorial plane at 5 degrees Pisces, 5 degrees Virgo, 5 degrees Sag, and 5 degrees Gemini, making it an infinity looped source that brings through the strongest monadic atomic codes. This is a hyperdimensional portal accelerator. So we have all universal and occult geographical gate sites responding to the hyperdimensional tonal alignments to the galactic and celestial equatorial cross. But particularly the gate sites that are coming through the strongest are going to be Machu Picchu, Pleiadian Stargate Site, and we have Lake Titicaca, Arcturian Stargate Site, Easter Islands, Universal, San Juan, Teotihuacan, Universal, Cape Verde. I'm going to say Universal on Cape Verde. And these creating the point to the 24 quasi-crystal. But essentially, all these stargates are activating. Also, I consider Angkor Wat to be more of an Andromeda location. This would also be awakening and activating, sending generational currents into the staff alignment as well. And also the Sirian gate sites in Antarctica, bringing through the first dimensional creation codes from very dormant portions of the Earth's frozen cellular memory, because this is important, guys. This is what I keep seeing, is that many of you already know, but Antarctica is the 5th largest continent, the feminine. It's the feminine continent, and you can see that I outlined it in pink here so I could define that. I do feel any landmass that is below the equatorial plane, that is in the southern hemisphere of the planet, is going to be a feminine landmass. Anything above the the northern part of the equatorial Earth plane is going to be a masculine distinct landmass. And so therefore, just it aligns historically to generational patriarchal mythology and things of that nature. As of right now, it's very relative. Now, does this always represent things like this? I don't think so. I've looked at other grid structures where the masculine and feminine are parallel, or they're vertical, or this, and that. But as of now, this is really making sense to everything that I've been talking about. You have the subcontinent, subconscious, dormant, frozen portion of Antarctica that aligns very much to Sirius. Sirius resides on the southern half of the celestial equatorial plane, and therefore this is the feminine continent, because it's south of the equatorial plane. And when you look at all star systems south of the celestial equator, they are the divine mother templates. So largest continent, and there is dormant memory, pre-universal encoded in her landmass. This would be held in the subcontinent, the deepest layer. And this is ultimately awakening the dormant portions in the landmass, holding memory fields within old Earth tilt pre-equatorial encoding templates. Planetary staff, right? These are the original organic tilt codes. This takes place within Grail extensions, into previous unknown civilizations, also within previous continent formations, memory, and also anything within prehistorical evidence of the 7 root races. We're going back even farther than that. So this would, once Antarctica unthaws, the entire race is going to evolve into an aquatic species, and we're going to re-rectify root races that are prior to the 7. Okay, prior to the split of the 7 continents, the 7 continents that hold that consciousness, right? They were split apart into 7 root races. So it just ties us into another link of evolution, which is ultimately a wormhole if we start to go down that right now. But the Earth tilt is currently Earth tilt reality field awareness, accretion, particle spin rotation, increase in this. This is ultimately what is bringing through the 24-point staff encoding that I do feel is the required embodiment to go through the gate of the God planetarily for dematerialization and for transfiguration. And all of this is activated and integrating now in what is known as the planetary 24-point white staff over the cross section of Lake Titicaca. Okay, guys, so I hope that you enjoyed this energy update today. I hope that you enjoyed my map today. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. If you'd like to join my Patreon, patreon.com/indigoangel, you can look at some of the mechanical videos that do coincide my energy updates to make more sense as far as that accretion level and vertical spin and going into angular pole tilt reality fields, horizontal pole tilt reality fields, and being able to perceive how this is activating through the morphogenetic structures of the biology, all of these things. So it's very interesting, and I love talking about it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this energy update today. And if this resonates, let me know, because I felt like I was really going out on a limb today to bring forth this. And it'd just be good to know who's all resonating. And namaste, guys. I love you so much. You can check out my services, indigoangel222.com. And I hope everyone has a beautiful new moon. Namaste.